Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarvavide Namaha. येषाम् एक एव आत्मा निर्दुःखो विक्रिय सदा. येषाम्, in the opinion of those, एक एव आत्मा is one non-dual, निर्दुःख, devoid of any pain or sorrow, सदा अविक्रिय है, always changeless. तेषाम् शब्दवाच्यत्वम ज्ञेयत्वम आत्मना सदा न स्यात्. Then nakara comes in the second line. For them, atma never becomes the meaning of a word, vachya shabda, so, nor jnaya becomes an object of knowledge. The other way around also. Niyesham ekayava atma nirdukho. Those for whom atma is not one, devoid of pain, changeless, for them Atma becomes the object of the word as well as object of knowledge. Therefore, Atma cannot become the meaning of any word. Mukhyartha is not applicable. Tari astu shabdartha mukhyatva savikāratma. But the Upanishads communicate about Atma, teach Atma only in words. So Atma, the words must be able to create the knowledge of Atma. Atma, there must be the meaning of the words. And as you say, Atma is not the meaning of words, then Astu Savikara eva Atma, let Atma be changing, says no, Ahankarta. If it is Atma, subject to hunger, thirst, etc. So whichever way you see, Atma cannot be the meaning of a word. उक्तरीत्या यदि जानात्यादेः आत्मन्यत्र च मुख्यता न संभवेत्. Janati cannot apply primarily to Atma because Atma being changeless cannot be the locus of the act of knowing, Janati. And Buddhi being unconscious also cannot be the knower. So, Atmani anyatra cha mukhyata na sambhavati. So, Janati knows cannot primarily apply to Atma, changeless consciousness, nor can it apply to Buddhi, which is unconscious. Tarihi Vittantarenapi Atmani. Then, if Mukhya Artha is not applicable, Vrityantarenapi, then Gauna Artha also cannot be. If Vachyartha is not there, there cannot be Lakshyartha also. Because Shakya Sambandha. Lakshyartha is connected to Vachyartha in some way. If there is no Vachyartha, there cannot be any connected meaning. Therefore, if Mukhyartha is not there, see, Gauna means secondary with reference to primary. Secondary presupposes a primary. There is no primary meaning, there cannot be secondary meaning also. Nahi kwapi amukhyam kvajit upacharira iti sambhavati. The upachara, the gauna meaning, the secondary meaning, the figurative meaning can be there provided there is a primary meaning of a word. So you may use the word not in the primary meaning, may use it in the secondary meaning provided a primary meaning is there. You say that no, Atma is not the primary meaning of any word. Hanta tarhina mukhyartho napi gaunah kathanchana. Verse 59. Mukhyartha nasti. The vachyartha, the primary meaning is not there. Napi gaunah. Then there cannot be a secondary meaning also. Janate ityadi sabdasya gatihi vachya tathapitu. But the fact that the Shruti uses the words to convey Atma, therefore, the words must have some meaning. If Mukhyartha is not there, Gaunartha is not there, you tell us what is the meaning. You are saying. Purvapakshi says to the Vedantin, you say that a word like Janati does not have a primary meaning, then it doesn't have a secondary meaning also. Then you tell us how to understand or interpret the words of the Vedas. Gatirvachya tathapitu. Then also you have to explain some reason, some meaning of these words. Shabdanam ayathartatve. So why should there be a gati? That there be no primary meaning, that there be no secondary meaning, suppose we say. That words are meaningless. Shabdanam ayathartatve vedasyapi apramanata. If the words have no yathartata, they don't have a true meaning, meaning that they are false, meaningless, let us say. If the words of the Veda are meaningless, or even the words in the Vyavhara also are meaningless, Vedasya pramanata, then Veda also will become a pramana. Because Vedas also use the words that are used in the day-to-day life. Vedas only use familiar words, then only we can get the message of Vedas. Although what the Vedas teach us is something that is beyond the senses, etc., and still the words that are used by the Vedas to teach us what is beyond the senses, those words still are only what are familiar to us. Vedas do not use unfamiliar words, nor Vedas use familiar words in unfamiliar meaning. So if there is no familiar meaning, then Vedas also cannot convey. So Vedasya pramanata apramanata syad. Veda also no remain pramanam. Let it be. Such an aishta, that's not right. Even you won't like it. Tato grahya gatirasya prasiddhitah. Therefore, you have to accept the prasiddha, the commonly understood meaning of the words of the Vedas also. Prakritjana prasidhya gatirashriyate Paninyadi abhiyukta prasiddhyava. The two kinds of people. One are illiterate people. Others are very literate and scholarly people like Panini. So when you say that we should understand the words in their familiar meaning, do you mean meaning familiar to illiterate people or meaning familiar to scholars? Prasiddhir mudalokasya idigrahya. If we have to understand the word, meaning of the words, in the sense in which the illiterate people understand, then Niratmata, everybody understands body to be Atma. Everybody who is not exposed to any kind of teaching, by default takes body to be Atma. Therefore, when they use the word Atma, they use it in the sense of body. There is no Atma other than body. There is no consciousness. There is Niratmata. There is no Atma. Lokayatika Siddhanta. There is no Atma other than body. That's what the Lokayatika Charvakas say. That is familiar among all the uneducated people. So is that the meaning when you accept, when you say familiar meaning? Do you mean that kind of means such a anishtasya prasiddhyate? That's not right, because then Vedas are communicating something which is totally wrong. They use the word Atma in the form, in the sense of Deha. They don't accept Atma as consciousness. There is no consciousness other than Deha. If then the Vedas use the word Atma, if you understand the sense in which those fellows understand, then the Atma word is used by the Veda also in the sense of body. There is no consciousness. Is that what you mean? Niratmata syat. That means Vedas are talking about Niratmata. There is no Atma. Aviyukta prasiddhishet. If you say that, no, we should understand words and sense in which the scholars understand, then Purvat Durvivekata. See, verse 54 told us Durvivekata. Durvivekata means that you cannot arrive at Viveka at all. Dilemma. न बुद्धे अबोधोस्ति नात्मनो विद्यते क्रिया 54th verse 8. न बुद्धे अबोधोस्ति, buddhi being unconscious cannot have knowledge. न आत्मनो विद्यते क्रिया, आत्मा being avikriya, changeless, cannot be the knower. अतो नान्यतरस्यापि जानाति इति च युज्यते. Devadatta janati, when Devadatta knows, what is meant by that? Is it buddhi that is meant? But buddhi is unconscious. Atma that is meant, Atma is changeless. So this janati, that expression, knows, na yujyate, it doesn't make sense. So scholars think like this. When you say the janati, he knows, who is the one that knows? There are two elements here. One is buddhi, adhritatma. Buddhi also cannot know because unconscious. Atma cannot be knower because it is changeless. Therefore, the words don't, to the scholars, words don't make sense anyway. So, durvivekata. If you use the word atma, janati, in the sense that the scholars use durvivekata, then we cannot arrive at any understandable meaning. Kati shunyam, which means that na vedoyam pramanam samvadatyuta. You cannot say Vedas use the words as Atma, which doesn't make any sense. Because janati does not apply to buddhi, cannot apply to Atma. So there is nowhere where the word janati will land. In Veda, the word janati is used as meaningless word. And pramanam cannot use meaningless words. So this is how the Purupakshi said, verse up to verse 62. Then in verse 63, चिदात्मनेव औपाधिको जानात्यादि शब्द प्रयोग संभवति इति अभिप्रेत्य. So this is where the author is justifying his prakriya of accepting an entity called Chidabhasa. Merely Chit, the consciousness, and Buddhi, which is like a mirror, the reflecting medium, merely these two cannot explain our Vyavhara. Therefore, we have to accept something called the Chidabhasa, meaning that consciousness being reflected in the Buddhi. There is an Abhasa, reflection of consciousness in Buddhi, and that will explain also the all words have primary meaning with reference to Chidabhasa. So Janati can primarily apply to Chidabhasa. And then you can have a Gauna meaning, a related meaning, which will then land into Atma as consciousness. So in Janati he knows. There the Janati is a knower, which means the ashraya or the locus of the act of knowing. And Atma cannot be locus of act of knowing, but what is related meaning then? Atma is just knowing or consciousness. So the word Janati can primarily apply to Chidabhasa. So word must have primary meaning. Then only it can have a secondary meaning. Then secondarily, the word Janati will apply to Atma in terms of consciousness. Therefore, Siddhanti Drishtantamaha. So now Siddhanti explains his model. Adarshamukha samanyam mukhasyeshtam himanavaihi mukhasya pratibimbohi mukhakarana dushyate. Adarshamukha samanyam mukhasyeshtam himanavaihi. Ordinary people, human beings, when they look at the reflection in the mirror, Adarshamukha samanyam, that reminds them of their face only. When I look at the mirror, what conclusion or what perception it creates in me, that I am looking at my reflection? No, I am looking at my face. When I look at the reflection in the mirror, the conclusion or understanding created in my mind is not that I am looking at my reflection, I am looking at my face. This is what is a very, as I said, very brilliant, day-to-day example how adhyasa takes place. Adarshamukha samanyam mukhasyeshtam himanavaihi. So prasiddham manavaishtam. So when a manava means a person looks at the reflection, he thinks that he is looking at his own face. Mukhasya pratibimbohi mukhakarana dushyate. Why is it so? Because the pratibimba, the reflection of the face, looks like the face. So adarshe dushyamanavyam mukham tena samanyam samanat ekatvam mukhasya. So he thinks that I am looking at my face. That means that he superimposes the idea of the face upon reflection. Samanatvam, ekatvam, mukhasya, adarsha, bahitishtatah, even though the face, grivastham mukham, is on his neck, quite different from the face appearing in the mirror. And still, people, when they look at the reflection, what the reflection, the idea of the reflection creates is my face. Adarshe mukha vyakti antarotpadan anupatti sakritaya madiyam mukhamedi pratyabhignaya. This cannot be somebody else's face. So this is my face. Mukha Vyakti Antara. That this is reflection of someone else, it cannot be. Therefore, this is my face. Madhyam Mukhamid Pratyabhignaya. So, he Pratyabhignya, recognition takes place there. What? This is my face. Because there is no reflection, there is nothing else in the mirror other than my face. So, actually he knows it is a reflection in my face, of my face. So, what is visible in the mirror is my reflection because there is nothing other than my face in front of the mirror. And still, instead of the reflection, creating the impression that I am looking at my reflection, he says, I am looking at my face, this is my face. That's the Pratyabhignya. Recognition is, this is my face, Bimba, Pratibhimbhavena, Upadita, Ved Avabhasevi. If you give a thought to it, realize that the bimba or the image is my face, which is over my shoulders. And what is visible there is quite different in the mirror. But you don't think like that. What you think in Vyavahara is that this is my face. Mukhaikyam manavishadeva iti uktam bhavati. So this is a day-to-day example where the Adhyaropa superimposition takes place, where I superimposing my faceness upon my reflection. Even though when I give a thought, I realize that that's reflection. My face is quite different from reflection because my face is here on my neck or my shoulders. Reflection is there. But even though at some point now I know this, but even then, when I look at the reflection, the impression created in my mind right away is, I'm looking at my face. So by default, this is called default. Superimposition takes place upon the reflection. Example of superimposition because of similarity. So samanyam, samanatvam, because there is similarity between my face and the reflection. And so much similarity is there that I forget that it's a different entity. And I take it to be my reflection. Now we continue with the next section. Yatha kalpita mukhasya paramartha mukhasya cha. So there are two mukha. Kalpitam mukham, imaginary face with the reflection. Paramartha mukham, the real face which is on my shoulders. Anyonya avivekat, because of the lack of discrimination or separation between the two. Malinam mukham. So what I see is the reflection. Where my face looks like is malinam, it's dirty. Alpam, depending upon the face, depending on the mirror, whether it's a concave mirror, convex mirror, alpam mukham, vakram mukham, small face, distorted face, dirty face, is a Vyapadesha Upadi Nibandhana. So this is what Vyapadesha, this is Shabda Prayoga that we use, this is how we point out. My face is distorted, my face is small, my face is dirty. When you say that Upadi Nibandhana, so this kind of Vyavahara, Shabda Prayoga is Upadi Nibandhana. We know that it is due to Upadi of mirror that creates this kind of appearances. Tatha Atmanyapi Jnatrittvadi Vyapadesha Upadi Upapannamiti. Similarly also, even though Jnatritva belongs to Chidabhasa. Now Chidabhasa is a reflection of the Atma in the Buddhi. And just as when I look at the reflection in the mirror, I think I am looking at my face. So also when I look at my reflection in the Buddhi, Chidabhasa, think I'm looking at my face, myself. And therefore, the Jnatritvam, knowerness, belongs to Chidabhasa. But because of lack of discrimination between Chidabhasa and Chit, the reflection, and my face, which is quite different, because of lack of because similarity is there. Therefore I forget the difference between the two. Atmanapi jnatrutvadi vyapadesha. So I call myself a knower. Just as when I look at the reflection, I say my face is dirty, so also when I look at the Chidabhasa as a knower, is knower. So I say I am the knower. The knowerness of Chidabhasa seems to create in me recognition that I am the knower. Upadhi nibandhana. It is dependent upon the upadhi or created by upadhi, caused by upadhi, upadhi nibandhana. So this conclusion on my part that I am a jnata. Although jnatritvam, the sense of knowerness is in the Chidabhasa, but because of the lack of separation between the two, I conclude that I am the knower. So how this idea of janati, Devadatta knows, this is what we say. Now, we do not realize that in Devadatta there are two aspects. One is Devadatta, the consciousness, other is Devadatta, the Chidabhasa. And not being able to distinguish between them, lumping them together, what belongs to Chidabhasa is taken to belong to Atma. So we say, Devadatta janati, aham janami. Iti upannam. So this is tenable, logical. This can be explained that even though, I do not realize that it is a notion on my part, but that notion has a reason to be created. Because somewhere the janati is there, in the reflection, Chidabhasa. And not knowing the distinction between the Chit and Chidabhasa, the Chit or I is taken to be janati or janami. So Darshtantikamaha. Then verse 64 says, Yatra yasyavabhasastu tayoreva vivekataha janati iti kriyam sarvaha loko vakti svabhavataha. Yatra yasya avabhasastu. Yatra where? Yasya which one? So, who is reflected where? One, the one that is reflected where? In the mirror, the face is reflected. Yatra in the mirror, yasya of the face, avabhasa reflection. Tayoho avivekataha, on account of not being able to distinguish between them, that is reflection and this image. Janati iti kriyam sarvo loko vakti svabhavataha. And therefore, janati, know that belongs to buddhi or chidabhasa, svabhavataha. By habit itself, people take it to belong to Atma, that's all. So janami, instead of janati, it says janami. Janati belongs there, janami belongs here. Yatra yasya avabhasa. The word avabhasa is used. That's why Tikakara says abhasa. Pratibimba bhava iti avad abhasa. You call it abhasa or you call it the reflection. So what abhasa is used in the sense of pratibimba or reflection. This is pratibimba vada and abhasa vada. That's a different vada. The pratibimbas, there are people who think that in fact you're looking at your own face, looking at this one. Somehow the rays get reflected. Some complicated prakriya is explained. And you're not looking at reflection, looking at your own face, something. Anyway, that's Pratibimba Vada. And Abhasa Vada is looking at the reflection. Anyway, so Yat Shabdabhyam, the two words, so two words which are derivative of Yat. Yatra, also Yat, seventh case. Yasya, also Yat, sixth case. Yat Shabdabhyam, so Yatra also is derived from Yat. Yasya also derived from Yat. Yat Shabdabhyam, by these two words which are derivatives of Yat. Uktamartham spashtayat, because pronouns are used. So what do we understand? Where of which the reflection is, so where and which. So that is being explained in the next verse, verse 65. Buddhe kartrutva madhyasya janati tignya uchyate तथा चैतन्य मध्यस्य न्यत्वं बुद्धेरिहोच्यते. Buddhe kartrutva madhyasya, the kartrutva, meaning the agency of knowing, the knowingness belongs to buddhi. Adhyasya, superimposing that upon Atma, Janagnya janati, Atma knows, or Aham janami. So in the primary sense, the one that knows is buddhi. But that knowerness of the buddhi is superimposed upon Atma, knowerness of buddhi, the reflection, superimposed upon image, and conclusion is that Gnya janati, Atma janati, Atma knows. Tatha Chaitanya Madhyasya, the mutual superimposition. Tatha similarly, Chaitanya Madhyasya, the consciousness that Atma is superimposed upon Buddhi. Nyatvam Buddhe, when we say Buddhi knows, Buddhi cannot know because it is unconscious. Atma cannot know, it is changeless. So how do you explain? Buddhi knows because of the superimposition of consciousness upon Atma, and Atma knows because of the superimposition of buddhi upon Atma. Mutual superimposition. The buddhi also knows, Atma also knows. So says the Tika, buddhyatmanoho tadatmadhyase sati buddhyatmanoho, or buddhi and Atma tadatmadhyase sati, when there is this adhyasa of mutual identification, tadatmya, the superimposition of the nature of mutual identification. Like the fire and the iron ball or something like that. Anyonya dharma sankara, therefore the fire seems to inherit the dharma, the attributes of the iron, and iron seems to inherit the dharma of fire. So anyos dharma sankarat, confusion of dharma between the two. Therefore, the Atma becomes as though possessed of dharma buddhi, and that's how he knows. Buddhi seems to possess dharma Atma, consciousness also knows. Atma janati, aham janami, vyapadesho bhavati. Therefore, this vyapadesha shabda prayoga comes. Atma knows, I know. So buddhe kartrutvam adhyasya gnyah janati iti uchyate. So Atma gnyah janati, Atma janati is said by superimposing the kartrutva, the knowerness of the buddhi. Upon Atma we say Atma knows. Tatha Chaitanya Madhyasya. So also superimposing consciousness of the Atma we say Buddhi knows. Nyatvam buddhe uchyate. So buddhi knows. Buddhi also knows, Atma also knows. None of them knows. None of them can know because they are unconscious. Still buddhi knows. Because of the superimposition of consciousness of Atma, Atma knows. Atma also cannot know primarily, it is changeless. But then the knowerness of buddhi superimposed on Atma, Atma knows. Now there are other views available about Atma and knowledge, etc., Tarkikas and all sorts of fellows. So You have to clear those things also. Nanu buddhyadavi atmani jnanam utpadyate. There are those like Vaisheshikas who take Atma, the unconscious. And when Atma comes in contact with the mind, then consciousness arises. So Atma is basically unconscious, as in deep sleep. When there is no mind, that time the Atma is in its nascent state, which is unconscious. Then you wake up, then the mind wakes up, and then Atma comes in contact with mind. That's by the association of Atma with the mind, consciousness emerges. So consciousness is not in Atma, it is not in Buddhi. When they combine, consciousness emerges. How can it be? Just like the betel leaf is green and the lime is white. When they combine, there's red color. So redness is not there in betel leaf, is not there in lime, is there in combination. So consciousness is not in Atma, not in Buddhi. When they combine, then Atma becomes consciousness. Conscious. This is their theory, Vaisheshika, or. So basically they accept Atma as a dravya. Means a substance, which is unconscious by nature. So buddhyadivihi atmani jnanam utpadyate. So what is that creates jnanam or consciousness in Atma? Buddhi. When Buddhi comes in contact with Atma, that time Buddhi makes the Atma or imparts consciousness to Atma, let us say. Because the way Atma is unconscious. Tataha kathamidam uchyate atma chaitanyam buddhau adhyasyate iti. How do you say that the consciousness of the Atma is superimposed on Buddhi? Because Atma became conscious because of Buddhi. Accepting their theory. The Atma by nature is unconscious, becomes conscious when it comes in contact with Buddhi. So, consciousness is imparted to Atma by Buddhi, and here you are saying Atma imparts consciousness to Buddhi. If Vedanta says Atma is consciousness, katham idam uchyate atma chaitanyam buddhu adhyasyate iti. Atma is unconscious. How do you say that the consciousness of the Atma is superimposed on Buddhi when Buddhi imparts consciousness of Atma? Not the other way around. So, this is replied. Swarupam cha atmano jnanam nityam jyotishruteyatah न बुद्ध्या क्रियते तस्मात् न आत्मना अन्येन वा सदा. So they say that consciousness is created. That's what the scientists also say. Consciousness is created when the elements combine in some peculiar way in the primordial soup. So when primordial soup happened, at some point in time, consciousness arose, a non-existent consciousness arose. No sensible person can accept the appearance of non-existent thing. But anyway, that's what they say. That consciousness is created. So consciousness is not the primary principle, matter is the primary principle. And consciousness becomes evident when matter combines in a certain way. Here also in our brain, when some chemical combinations take place, consciousness is created. When it's gone, brain dead, this fellow is gone. They seriously believe all this, They have to believe, because science is only based on evidence and what you can measure, and consciousness can't be measured. So that's all right. And that serves their purpose well. For what they want to do, that's fine. For what we want to do is not fine, that's all. Swarupam cha atmano jnanam. Hey, it is not buddhi that imparts consciousness to Atma. consciousness is the inherent nature of Atma. How do you say? Nityam jyotishrute yatah jnanam nityam jyotishrute yatah. Because Atma is swam jyoti. Atma is self-effulgent consciousness. That's what Upanishad says. So consciousness is the essential nature of Atma and not something that is created. Na buddhya kriyeta tasmad, therefore, don't say consciousness is created by buddhi in the Atma. Then does Atma create consciousness? Na Atmana. Atma also does not create consciousness. Is uncreated, is essential nature. You are existing. Then just somebody else other than buddhi and Atma, na anyena vasada, there is nothing else also that can create consciousness. So this is already discussed in Vedanta. Consciousness is not created, it is inherently there. It can manifest. Consciousness can be unmanifest. It is possible that a certain combination of matter, organic matter, that too, can bring to manifestation consciousness. Still, human being has not been able to do that. But somehow this carbon and hydrogen are all wondrous, elements. That's the way organic matter. That is a miracle on earth. Earth has several miracles. Carbon is one of the miracles. Hydrogen may be there elsewhere, but carbon. So carbon and hydrogen, that is how you have the organic matter. Otherwise everything is inorganic, lifeless. So organic matter is the potential of life. That's how life becomes manifest. Anyway, but na buddhya kriyate, don't say life. So consciousness is made to manifest by buddhi, not created by buddhi. So whether in primordial soup consciousness is created or is it brought to manifestation? So Tika says jnanam atmana swarupam. Jnana or consciousness is swarupam, inherent nature of Atma. Tad devaha jyotisham jyotihi ayuruho pasate mritam. Tad devaha jyotisham jyotihi amritam jyotisham jyotihi ayuhu iti upasate. So devatas meditate upon that jyoti, the consciousness. Amritam jyoti, immortal consciousness. Jyotisham jyoti, the light of all the lights. The immortal light of all the lights. Devatas meditate upon them, that as ayuhu, as longevity. So one of the upasanas, that consciousness is meditated upon by devatas as ayuhu or longevity. But the point here is that jyotisham jyotihi. Amritam jyotisham, immortal light of all the lights. Whether devatas meditate or whatever they do is a different thing, but there is an immortal light of the lights. Atmeva asya jyotihi. So, in the dream, in the dialogue between Sri Jajnavalkya and King Janaka. So, who is the light? Kim Jyotiram Purusha? What's the light that illumines this Purusha, this Karyakarana Sanghada? Aditya, Astamite Aditya, when the sun sets, Chandramaha, Astamite Aditya, Astamite Chandramasi, sun also sets, moon also sets, then Agni. Astamite Aditya, Astamite Chandramasi, then Shante Agno, Agni becomes also quiet. Then Vag, speech. Shantayam Vachi, even speech also becomes quiet. So then this is the answer that is given here, that Atma eva asya jyotihi. It is Atma in the dream. Asya jyotihi. That's the asya means Karyakarana Sanghata asya. The Atma that illumines the whole universe, including this Karyakarana Sanghata. Atrayam Purusha Swayam Jyoti. Atrayam in Swapna Purusha becomes Swayam Jyoti. So self-effulgence, the Atma can very well demonstrate with reference to the dream state. Therefore, that's how it is done there. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunasya Shivadashvada. Is Sakshi, a witness. Cheta, the imparter of consciousness, enlivener, ityadi, Shrute. The Shrutis very clearly say that the consciousness is a Swarupam, the inherent nature of Atma, not that it is imparted to Atma. Atasyeva nityameva, meaning that because it is Swarupam, it is Nitya. Because inherent nature is always there for no reason at all, therefore that consciousness is Nitya. If consciousness had a reason to be there, if the reason is not there, consciousness cannot be there. But consciousness is without reason, therefore nitya. Nityameva. Tasmad na buddhya jnanam kriyate. Then we cannot say that buddhi imparts consciousness to Atma. Atmanava, nor Atma creates consciousness, it is the nature of Atma. Anyenava, chakshuradinava, or sense organs such as that, they also do not impart consciousness to Atma. Sada kadapi na kriyate. So nothing whatever can create consciousness in Atma. Neither Atma. It is inherently there, ever there. Buddhyatmanoho anyonya dharmadhyasaneva vyavahara iti yukte arthe. So that's how vyavahara is explained now. Atma cannot do vyavahara. Buddhi cannot do vyavahara by itself. Atma cannot do vyavahara because it is changeless. Buddhi cannot do vyavahara because it is unconscious. But vyavahara is going on. How do you explain? So, buddhyatmanoho anyonya dharmadhyasena, superimposing dharma of the Atma, consciousness upon buddhi, superimposing kartrita buddhi upon the Atma. That's called anyonya dhyasa, mutual superimposition. Vyavahara iti. That's how all vyavahara means all the life transactions can be explained. Janati, once you say janati or karoti, when you explain that, the whole vyavahara is explained. Idyukti arthe. So that was said in the earlier verse. Drishtantamaha used an illustration. Illustration must be something that is familiar to everybody and accepted by everybody. So next verse is Deheham pratyayo yadvata janati iti cha laukikaha vadanti jnana kartrutvam tadvad buddhestathatmanah. Yadvad dehe aham pratyaya laukikaha janati. So just as dehe aham pratyaya, the deha is taken to be aham. Pratyaya is the concept. Upon the body there is a concept or perception of aham. How can, it doesn't make sense. So Tika says, Rupadimatvena ghatadivat aham pratyaya ayogyepi dehe. Just as this ghata cannot be I, because Rupadimatvena, this little part is possessed of rupam, color and form. Therefore, it is an object of knowledge. It is drishyam. It cannot be drashta, it cannot be atma. Therefore, we never commit a mistake of taking a part to be myself. Because that distinction is very clear to us. That part is an object of knowledge and it is possessed of the color and form. So whatever is possessed of color and form is object of knowledge, like ghata. And body also possesses color and form, so is also object of knowledge, like ghata. So rupadimatvena, this body also is possessed of the rupa, form and color. Ghatadivat, like a part. aham pratyaya ayogyepi. So just as there is never aham pratyaya, the notion of I-ness in a parts also, body also does not deserve to be called I. Because technically there is no difference in body and Atma, body and Ghata as far as Anatmatvam is concerned. Both are Anatma. Therefore, just as we never call pot as I, we should not be calling the body also as I. Ayogya videhe chetanam adyasya. But everybody superimposes the chetana, the consciousness. Sentiency really, chetana means sentiency. Yatha aham manushya krusha sthula ityadi pratyo dushyate. Therefore, I take the body to be myself and I call myself a manushya, I am a human being. Although human being is the dharma of body. Krusha, I am lean, sthula, I am fat. Ityadi pratyo dushyate. Pratyaya means these notions, perceptions, conclusions that I am a human being, I am fat, I am lean, etc. Because superimposing the chetana upon body, taking the consciousness as the nature of body, I look upon body because this one thing is sure that I know that I am a conscious being. And therefore I am not a ghata. Ghata I am not. But the body is conscious being, therefore I have all the reason to take the body to be myself. Therefore, dehe aham pratyo drishyate. In the world we find that people commonly take the body to be I. Tadvat buddhehe, next line. Tadvat buddhehe. Tatha, tadvat tatha buddhehe. Jadatvena jnatrutva ayogyatvevi chidavasa vyaptya jnatrutvam aropya janami iti laukikaha vadanti. First line, janati or janami. So laukika dehe aham pratyaya. So dehoham, just as laukika say, they also say that buddhi janati, that the buddhi knows. How? Buddhehe jadat. So even though buddhi does not have the qualification of being a knower, just as the body does not have the qualification of being Atma, and still we take it to be Atma, that means there is superimposition. So buddhi inherently being unconscious does not have the capability of being a knower, and still we call it a knower. Jnatrutva ayogyatvevi. Buddhi jadat, buddhi is unconscious. Therefore cannot be jnata or knower. Chidavasa vyaptya, but because buddhi is a reflecting medium, reflects the consciousness and therefore has chidavasa, reflected consciousness. Jnatrutvam aropya. Therefore we superimpose the knowerness upon the buddhi. Janamiti laukikaha vadanti. Laukika says, janami, I know. Where the I is placed in buddhi, and buddhi knows, I know. So this is drishtanta, by the way. That everybody takes body to be Atma is a well-known thing. Takes buddhi also as a knower of a well-known thing. Then darshtanta. So darshtantikamaha. What is darshtanta? Tatha atmanah. That's all. The last words of that second line. Tatha atmanah. So buddhe jnana karatutvam vadanti. Laukika deham pratyaya janati iti vadanti. Buddhe jnana karatutvam vadanti. So janati iti laukikaha vadanti. That up to that point is all illustration, drishtanta. Tatha atmanah, that part is the darshtantika illustrated. Vikaritasyapi atmana vikarichit avivekat vikaritva vyapadesh siddhi ityartha. And just as consciousness of Atma is thought to be the conscious of the buddhi, and buddhi is taken to be conscious. Vikarita buddhi is superimposed on Atma, and Atma is thought of Vikara. So, for being a jnata, one must be a conscious entity and also a changing entity. A jnata, a knower, has to be a conscious being, and the knower also changes in accordance with the object of knowledge. So, knower also changes. So, it was changing a conscious entity and changing entity. The consciousness cannot change. And still here we have conscious entity changing. So change part comes from buddhi, conscious part comes from Atma, and thus by superimposition we say janati, Atma janati, buddhi janati. Vikari tasyapi atmana, vikari chitta avivekat. Atma inherently is devoid of any vikara or change, modification. But vikara chitta, the mind undergoes all the vikara change, and avivekat, not distinguishing between the two. Vikaritvadi Upadesha siddhi, therefore Atma also is said to be knower, implying vikaritvam. Knower means changing entity. When you call Atma knower, we are implying changing there, which change is not nature of Atma, but because of the change of the buddhi, Atma is also thought to be changing. That's one way of interpreting the word yadva, or deham pratyo yadvat, sthula dehe yadvat aham pratyaya manusyoham ityadi aham pratyaya ayogyebi vyavahriyate sarvaihi. Same thing, that even though the body does not deserve to be called Atma, and still people call it Atma. Laukikascha shastra samskarahitaha devadatto janati manute iti che dehasyeva jnatrutam vadanti. Then this devadatto janati. I am the body, they say. Then they say devadatto janati. First of all, body is called Atma. I am Devadatta. Then the Devadatta janati, Devadatta knows, means body knows. Because body is taken to be Atma by, absolutely people who have no exposure at all to any kind of Shastra. I don't think anybody thinks that body knows, but anyway. Because you call body as I, and then you say, I know, therefore, I think that distinction is not there. They jnatrutam vadanti. Therefore, they think that body, because that is what doctors will say, by the way, and scientists also will say. Otherwise, nobody will say. He will know that I somehow am different from the body, whatever, but still, but this fellow says body, there is no consciousness other than body. So, body is Atma, janati, deha janati, deho janati. Dehasyeva jnatrutam vadanti. So, these are all learned people. Scientists and doctors, very learned people. Doctor means scientists. And have arrived at this conclusion after a lot of research and deliberation. That body is the conscious entity, body is Atma. Some chemical composition is there, combination is there, so long it is alive, that is gone, body is gone, Atma is gone. Dehasyeva jnatrutam, therefore they call Deha as jnata. So when they say Devadatto janati, the Shariram janati. Tad buddhi jnana kartrutvam, so also buddhi is knower. Atmano jnanashrayatvam cha, and Atma is the locus of the jnanam, vikaratvam. Locus means jnata, and also Atma also is vikari. Vyavaharaspradam bhavati. So similarly, just as body becomes the aspada or the object of this vyavahara, devadatto janati. So Atma can become the object of this vyavahara, janati, Atmana. So janati, Atma janati. By superimposing the dharma of the buddhi, this also can happen. So Drishtanta is what is taking place every day. Where people say Manusyoham, even though Manusya is the attribute of body, and body is nothing not different from a part as far as technically, is an Atma, and still people take body to be Atma. So also even though Atma is not changing, still they are taking Atma as knower. Or Buddhi is unconscious, still they take Buddhi as knower. Or not knowing distinction between the two, they say Atma Devadatto Janati. So therefore the aviveka which is prevalent in the life is shown by how people commonly take themselves with Manusyoham, Sthuloham, Krushoham. So that is the well-known example of Adhyasa. Although I would not know that I am doing Adhyasa when I say Manusyoham. But I could not have said Manusyam because I never say Ghatoham. Then I am a pot, I never say. Because I know that I am pot, I am not. Because pot is an object. An object is because it is possessed with Nam Rupa. Body also is possessed with Nam Rupa. Equally an object. I should not be calling body as Atma, but I do call. That means there is some problem in my life. Problem of Adhyasa, superimposition. So what is very commonly known is taken as example to say same thing applies when we say Atma is Jnata or Buddhi is Jnata. How consciousness of Atma superimposed on Buddhi, how Vikara of the Buddhi superimposed on Atma, and then we have a Vikari, Janati. Consciousness also is there and Vikara also is there. Okay, then we'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.